The sound of a motorcycle engine signals my son's arrival home. Today, he requested his mother's homemade dinner. I prepared the meal and awaited his return, expecting another ordinary day in our seemingly endless daily life. But what if, without warning, that ordinary life abruptly ended one day, at the moment when the familiar motorcycle sound should have been heard? What rang and echoed in the mother's ears was a single phone call telling her of her son's death. Osaka Prefecture Road Rage Murder Case. On July 2nd, 2018, around 7:30 p.m. in Minami Ward, Osaka City, a car chased a motorcycle in front of it for about 1 minute and then crashed into it from behind at nearly 100 kilometers per hour. The university student riding the motorcycle was Takada-san. At age 22, he suffered a brain contusion and skull fracture. Hiroshi Nakamura, 40, passed away after a collision. He briefly fled the scene but returned minutes later and called 110 investigators arrested him on the spot for negligent driving resulting in death. The case drew attention due to the malicious road rage involved. Of course it was due to his driving, but he was the one driving the cars. The perpetrator's shocking words and actions immediately following the accident were another reason. And after his arrest, he denied any intent to kill during police questioning. However, that statement was quickly overturned. His unbelievable words and actions right after the accident, which proved his intent to kill, were recorded on the drive recorder. This was installed in the perpetrator's car and it vividly captured his abnormal behavior. He tried to escape. He chased the motorcycle for about 1 kilometer, weaving back and forth. He intimidated with the horn and flashing headlights, then sped up to 96 kilometers per hour. He rear-ended the motorcycle, causing it to fall over. As the motorcycle vanished from sight, he casually remarked, "That's it, it's over," as if he hadn't just run someone over. It was something that couldn't possibly be said in the heat of the moment. Why did he behave so abnormally? According to reports, this incident began when a motorcycle overtook his car from the left side. He got angry about that. The perpetrator started tailgating and then the motorcycle tried to escape, but the perpetrator chased after it excessively and killed the rider. After seeing this report, some people said that the motorcycle, which overtook from the left, was also at fault and questioned the victim's driving. There was a growing opinion that the victim's manners were bad. However, the truth was different from what was reported in the media. What I'm about to talk about is what actually happened. I attended the trial for this case and watched the footage from the dashcam. This information comes from someone who heard the perpetrator's words during the trial, and it was also presented in court. The beginning of the dashcam footage showed the arrangement as depicted in the diagram on the right. The motorcycle was moving diagonally to the right in the left lane. The suspect's car was behind, and the traffic flow ahead was normal. The road widens to 3 lanes, and the suspect was trying to move into the far left lane to reach his destination, so he steered his car over. He attempted to change lanes and position himself between the cars ahead of and behind the motorcycle. It's uncertain if the suspect was aware of Mr. San's motorcycle at this point. Noticing the car changing lanes, Mr. San accelerated to avoid it, and from here, the suspect honked and flashed the headlights. Tailgating and aggressive driving began. Mr. San noticed it. Before the road became 3 lanes, Mr. San slipped between the cars ahead and escaped. The suspect's car stayed in the left lane. Then, when an extra lane was added on the left and it became 3 lanes, the suspect moved into the far left lane. However, the car didn't just disappear into the left lane, it accelerated from there and returned to where it was. He overtook the car in front of him in the lane. After that, he sped up even more, moved into the far right lane where the motorcycle was riding, and without braking crashed into the motorcycle from behind. He was arrested on the spot, but regarding this case, he denies any intent to kill and says the following: "I honked the horn because I felt the motorcycle's driving was dangerous. I knew the motorcycle was in front of me, but the collision happened because I wasn't paying enough attention. I'm a truck driver, and if I brake suddenly, the cargo will collapse, so I avoid sudden braking." Why is it not a habit? Because he has a drive recorder installed in his car.
Toya.
Even though he made those statements inside the car, how could he make such a blatantly insincere statement? That's because he had removed the memory card from the dashcam. He thought doing so would eliminate evidence of the events leading to the incident and his intent to kill. However, the search of his belongings after his arrest revealed otherwise. The memory card was found in his pocket, resulting in him proving his own wrongdoing. From the records on this dashcam, The perpetrator's actions were found to be carried out with intent to kill. In court, the judge who watched this dashcam footage stated that there was nothing wrong with the way the motorcycle was being operated. Murder charges were applied and a guilty verdict was given in this case, which is unusual as accidents while driving are typically prosecuted as negligent or dangerous driving resulting in death. The perpetrator was sentenced to about 16 years and began serving the sentence in 2021. He is still in prison. It's been about 3 years since the day we promised that I would eat my mother's home-cooked meal again. As of 2021, the mother of Mr. San, the victim in this case, never misses a single day. She continues to prepare Mr. San's dinner every day just as she did when he was alive. It still feels strange that Mr. San is gone. He lived with his mother, younger brother, and sister. He was a kind young man who deeply cared for his mother, regularly helping with cooking and laundry to support her. On the day of the incident, he had promised to eat with his mother. He later went to his part-time job and got caught up in this incident on his way home. The motorcycle he was riding on the day of the incident was something he bought with the money he had diligently saved from his part-time job at a nursing home. He cherished it very much, and people often saw him polishing it until it looked brand new. 3 days before the incident, when he was taking care of his motorcycle in the garage, a boy passing by with sparkling eyes shouted, "A motorcycle!" Seeing this, he called out to the boy, "Do you want to ride it?" He picked up the boy and let him sit on his precious motorcycle. This tells us about his character. His mother and relatives spoke about him like this. He was shy and quiet, but he always acted with consideration for others' feelings. He was planning to get married after graduating from college. If he had children, he would have loved them dearly. The criminal didn't just take his life, but also took away our family's and his fiancé's future. After Mr. B-Name's passing, his younger siblings married and had children, which would typically be a joyous occasion. But in those moments, I can't help thinking that if the accident hadn't happened that day by now, his mother says she has mixed feelings. The motorcycle that Moto cherished was severely damaged in the incident and had been kept as evidence by the prosecution. After the verdict was finalized, it was returned to the family. She believes that her son in heaven must want to ride the motorcycle one more time, and she doesn't want to let go of the last thing her son touched. With that in mind, his mother decided to have the motorcycle repaired. The place she entrusted it to was where Moto had secured a job. The mechanic in charge worked diligently on the repairs over 3 months. After hours and on holidays, he took on the work all by himself. He knew Mr. San and passed away just a month ago. He happily came to report that he had gotten a job here. It seems that the damage to that motorcycle was severe. I've repaired tens of thousands of bikes until now, but I've never seen one in such a condition. You can really feel how painful the incident must have been and how tragic it was. If the restored motorcycle could become a source of support for the bereaved family, with that in mind, I tried not to replace the broken parts with new ones as much as possible and actually repaired over 200 parts. Through these actions, it was like healing each of Mr. San's injuries one by one. That feeling is put into it. 2 years and 7 months after this incident, the bike finally returned home in its original form. When my mother turned the key and pressed the engine button, the nostalgic sound echoed through the garage. At last, my son had come home, shining like he used to. However, in contrast to the bike, the helmet was left with painful scars. It stayed that way. My son often asked me, and sweat had soaked into it. The mother speaks as she looks down at the helmet, washing the cushion part, just as she did when he was alive. When she washes the helmet, the water runs clear. That never happened. No matter how many times she washed it, blood kept seeping out as if it were tears of regret from Mr. Following the verdict, the grieving family spoke to the press. Mr. was provoked, chased, and killed at high speed at only 16. It's heartbreaking. Even a death sentence for the defendant would not bring forgiveness. The defendant must pay 61 million yen to the bereaved family as compensation. However, since the incident, even now, 3 years later, not a single yen has been paid. On the contrary, they haven't even received a letter of apology. It's not that they want money, they just want the perpetrator to suffer. Hasn't he atoned for anything? Why? Their son was killed and yet, didn't they want the truth to be told? But all they hear are excuses that don't sound like lies, as if they're just trying to end it as a simple accident. I can't see it, and I'm filled with anger. Regardless of their atonement efforts, the bereaved's grief and suffering will persist. That will never happen. Is it really over? Can you end someone else's life with just a single word like that? If you spend the number of years decided by the law behind bars, can you really say you've atoned for that crime? Every life is irreplaceable. There's only one for each person. The media coverage of this case was such that it wouldn't be surprising if people thought the motorcycle was also at fault. The motorcycle was also blamed. For Mr. Takada's honor and at his friend's request, I want to tell the truth. This may be due to past actions, but I sincerely hope it eases the bereaved family's anger, even slightly. I pray for Mr. Takada's happiness from the bottom of my heart. That concludes this time. Thank you very much for watching.